A fun way to learn is by making something. Today, let's make a find and replace. Our app will read in a file and replace every occurrence of a word with a new specified word. All right, well, here's how that works in Vim. Let's open a file, and here's my file. Now let's say I want to replace every occurrence of the word world. I would type in normal mode, I would type in $%s, and now a slash followed by the word I want to replace. Here is world. As you can see, it's starting to highlight. And you'll notice the lowercase world is not being replaced. And let's just go ahead and replace it with thing. I need a slash when I'm done with that word, and then a G to replace all of them. There we go. And that's find and replace in Vim. Let's go ahead and undo that and quit out of that. Now let's make a program to do that from the CLI using C. All right, I got my main.c file already ready to go. We're going to use the stdio.h header for standard input-output, such as opening files. And we got a string header for things that we're going to do with strings later on. All right, right off the bat, our app is going to run like this. Let's say it's a.out, and we're going to have a file name. Then we're going to have the word to replace. So we'll call it old word, and a new word that we're going to replace it with. So that is a total of 4. We need our argc to be 4. So if argc is not 4, we need to exit out. We'll give them a handy error. We'll say usage %s, old word, and new word. And that %s is argv for arg value 0, which is our app name, which will be a.out or whatever we decide to name it. And we're going to go ahead and return 1 here. All right, so if we have 4 arguments, that means the user had passed in, at least we hope, a file name, the old word, and the new word. All right, so let's go ahead and store off those 3 things there. We got our car pointer, which is going to be our file name. That'll be arg value of 1. Then our car pointer to our old word will be arg value 2. And of course, a car pointer to our new word, which will be arg v3. And my OCD, so I want to put these, that's better. Okay. Now, if the user decides to go ahead and put in 2 words that are exactly the same, let's go ahead and get out of here. So if not, which means the opposite, so if str, this is string compare, so we're going to take the old word and the new word, and if those are the same, we're going to give a helpful error. We'll just go ahead and say the words are the same, and we're going to go ahead and return 112. How about 1, actually? Because otherwise, later on when we start looping through our lines of our file, this could actually end up in an infinite loop and our program will crash. All right, next up, we need to go ahead and try to open our files. So our file is uppercase file, and it's going to be a file pointer. We'll just call this file for the one we're going to open. And that is the one the user passed in. So file name, and then we need a mode, R, for just reading. And then we're going to go ahead and open up a temp file. We'll open that. This we'll just call tmp.txt with the mode of W for write. So overview here, we are going to open our file that the user passes in. We're going to loop through each line, and we're going to replace the old word with the new word. And then we're going to temporarily put it in a temp.txt file. And at the end, we're just going to replace the file name with the temp. So we'll end up with the original file name, but with all the old words replaced with the new words. Okay, so if neither of these files can be opened, we need to get out of here. So I'm going to use if not file or if not temp file. Now this could be rewritten as if file equals null or temp file equals null. This is actually the same thing. So what this ends up doing is if the file is null, then that means we're going to execute this code block here. But this is just a shorthand way to do it. So we'll go ahead and print out a helpful error and return. Could not open files. And return 1 here also. Let's go ahead and make some room. Okay, right here is going to be a loop where we're going to read in each line of the file. But right after the loop, I'm going to go ahead and put in now our F close, because as soon as we're done with the file, we need to make sure we close it. So we'll go ahead and close both those files now. Okay, right before we loop, we actually need two variables, a buffer to hold each line and the size of that buffer. So I'll start with a size T, I'll call it size, and we're just going to go, 256. Then we're going to have a car buffer, I'll call it buff, with size. Now we can do while true, which is f get s. We're going to use our buffer, the size of our buffer, and the file that the user passed in. Now right here, we need to put not equals null. So as long as we can continue to get a line from the file and put it into our buffer of the size of the buffer, which is 256, as long as that does not return null, we're good. As soon as there's nothing to get, f get s will return null and we'll go out of the loop. For now, let's go ahead and test everything we've written and just print out each line of the file. All right, moment of truth. Okay, we're good. So we got an a.out. Let's test. Okay, see, we got our helpful usage. A.out. We need to follow with an old word and a new word, and that is not correct because the user needs to pass in a file name, otherwise they might be confused. There we go. So we'll go ahead and recompile that and rerun it. There we go. Now we got our usage of our program name, followed by the user needs to input a file name, an old word, and a new word. So let's try it with our test.txt file. We're going to have an old word and a new word. And as of right now, we're just outputting the file. And we should see a temp.txt file. It'll be empty because we have not put anything in it yet. All right, back in Vim. So we're going to go ahead and make a function to do our replace with this line. But before we get there, before we forget, let's do fput_s, which is basically format put string. We're going to put our buffer, we're going to write it to our temp file. So this is a way to write to a file, which is going to be our temp file. So in this while loop, we're going to read in the buffer using the function fgetS. We're going to take this buffer and we're going to put it in this function fput_s, which is writing to the file, our temp file, which is right here, temp.txt. Let's go ahead and try that and see if it works. So let's recompile. Uh-oh, I misspelled it. Let's go back in there. Common mistake. And let's go ahead and try that again. All right, now if we run a.out with test.txt, A and B for testing, we're outputting the file still. Let's go ahead and cat out temp.txt. There we go. Currently, they have the same contents because we didn't replace any of the words yet. All right, back in main.c, let's go ahead and comment that out. We don't want help. We want to write. Now let's go to the top and let's make our function declaration. This is not going to return anything. We're going to call it find replace. And we're going to take in a car pointer, which is we'll just call str for string. We're going to take a const car pointer, which means it's not going to change. That'll be our old word. And then we'll have a const car pointer, which will be the new word. Let me give the space here. That's where I like my pointers. Let's go ahead and yank that and go down to the bottom, paste that in with little curly braces. All right, we need a couple variables here. We need a car pointer, which is going to be our position. Then we're going to have a temp string, not a temp file, but just a string. And we'll just go ahead and use the same size we did before. Then we're going to need an index to keep track of where we at in the string. And then we need to keep track of how long or how many characters the old word is. So that's going to be string length of old word. All right, now we got to loop through the string we have and check if we have the old word that we are looking to replace. So that is done with a while loop. We're going to use the method str, and this is all it's doing is searching a string for a substring. We're going to pass in our string and then the old word. Okay, so this will return a pointer to the location of the very first place in the string where the old word will be found. So let's say we have apples, bananas, and whatever. And we pass in string will be apples, bananas, and everything else. And the old word, let's say, is bananas. This will return the position right here at B, basically. Hopefully that makes sense. So we need to capture that. So position equals the string method. And we need to check if that position is not null. Because if it is not found, the string method, the str method will return null. Otherwise, we get a pointer to that location of that string. So first thing we want to do is use string copy. We're going to take our temp and we're going to put the string in it. Then we're going to update our index value, which should be the position minus the string. That will give us the very first index position of the word we are looking for. And we're going to go ahead and do something funky. We're going to take our string, which is technically an array of characters. We're going to take that index location and we're going to put that to a /0, which basically truncates that current string into two parts, before we found it and after we found it. Now we're going to use a method called strcat, which is string concatenate. We're going to take the string and put the new word right in that string. Okay, you followed me so far. We copied the string into temp. We got the position from the string, the substring method here, and that's our index. And then we took the string at that index and basically put it in half, because a /0 means end of a string in C. Then at that position there, where the string is broken off in half, so right at that point, we put in our new word. I might want to put new word in there, not just new, otherwise we'll get a compilation error. All right, after that, we want to put the rest of the string back in. So it's string cat again. We're going to take our string, put the temp that we stored in earlier at the location of the index, and then plus the length of the old word. And that will replace the old word with the new word. So all we got to do now is just go ahead and call find replace with our buffer. We're going to have our old word and our new word. And if all goes right, we will have replaced every occurrence of the word in our file using this little method here. All right, let's go ahead and compile and see if we messed up anywhere. All right, we didn't. Now, what was in our test.txt? All right, let's go ahead and try replacing world with thing again. So a.out, test.txt. We're going to say world and thing. And let's go ahead and cat that out. And nothing happened. That is because after we did our find and replacing, all we did was close the file. So actually our temp file, let's go see that. Yep, it got ahead and replaced it. But what we got to do is give back to the user the original file. They don't want the temp. So to do that, there are two methods we can use. We'll use remove, and that is the file name. So that will remove the file, essentially just delete it. And then we're going to rename our temp.txt file with file name, essentially deleting it and then moving temp.txt back to the original file name. All right, let's try this again. Recompile, get our test.txt. We're going to go world with thing. And if we cat out test.txt, it replaced it. And you notice world, the lowercase world, was also not replaced. And our temp.txt file has been removed, or actually moved from temp.txt to test.txt. Awesome. Way to level up by doing. The code will be hosted on GitLab. The link will be in the description. And thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment to defeat that algo monster.